You know, I used to like Glenn Beck a lot. You know, when he used to be on CNN, I used to watch him. When he was on Fox News, I'd watch him. But people need to understand something. I liked Glenn Beck not because I agreed with 99.9% of what he said. I liked watching Glenn Beck because it's what some of us call doom porn. It is exaggerated, flamboyant, the end of the world is nigh crap, and that is very amusing. And when you can mix that in with politics, all the better. Unfortunately, it's like he's getting desperate. It's like, he's like a doom porn star with sagging titties, and, he's just not hot anymore. So, now he's acting as if Occupy Wall Street is this, cover group for the elite who want to spread Marxism and communism all over the world. Yes, because it is the communists that are the problem. That's why Gaddafi died, 2 days ago? And he says that the communists and the Islamic radicals are working together. Oh yes, because Muslim fundamentalists are also the problem. That's why Gaddafi died 2 days ago. That's why we went to war with Iraq and Afghanistan and all these other countries that can barely hold their own nations together are coming to form this new Soviet Union that's going to kick the West's ass. Really? One thing is being paranoid, but if you're going to be paranoid, at least make it something that's halfway believable. You know why most conspiracy theorists get away with it? Because their paranoia, they make some vague, enormous enemy that you cannot see or, pinpoint. When Alex Jones talks about the Bohemian Grove, or, David Icke talks about the reptilians, all this Illuminati crap flies because what is the Illuminati? The Illuminati could be anything, anytime, whenever it's convenient. Glenn Beck apparently wasn't smart enough to do that, and he wants to pinpoint it to the communists and the Muslims and anything else we currently hate. So, I bet if he was around in the 1970s, he would have said it was the Koreans and, another we've been fighting the same people for a long time anyway. We still act like North Korea is gonna get us, and North Korea ain't gonna do shit to us. North Korea just wants to mind their own business and take care of themselves, but apparently we have to spur up our ass because of that. We're not happy unless everyone else is as miserable as we are. Just because we're wage slaves and we're downtrodden, broken people that have no dreams or aspirations, no morals, and, no direction in life. Now the whole goddamn world has to go along with it. So if to the average person, you're smart enough to know it isn't the communists and the Muslims that are the imperialists. They're not the ones waging these, death wars that kill thousands and thousands of people every day. They're not the ones with this military-industrial complex that's going into all these foreign countries for oil. You know that, but yet you continue to believe this lie of, make-believe enemies. What country is actually communist? What country blatantly says they're a communist state? None. You might have liberal socialist states. You might have, states that are more nationalist, but that is hardly communist in philosophy. Well, that just means that their aim is to take care of themselves, and maybe to preach socialism abroad, but that is not communism in and of itself. I hate to say it, but communism did die with the Soviet Union. And it's going to take a lot more than a few countries here and there and a bit of the third world to, resurrect it. Communism isn't coming back anytime soon, and if it does, it's because it was internal. It went through all these huge nation states, and it infested them from the inside out. So, in that regard, okay, Glenn Beck can fear that America is in danger of becoming a communist state, and it would bode very unwell for the rich if America did become a communist state, but I don't see that happening. Americans are not going to give up their iPhones and Family Guy and football and other bullshit that distracts them and is a weapon of the bourgeoisie. It's not going to happen. And, even if they become anti-capitalists, that's not going to mean they're going to become communists. They probably won't even become socialists. They'll just become third-way nationalists and go back to a more primitive time of, being isolationists and not thinking their way is the best way. And, taking back child labor laws so that way kids can go work in the factory. That way they can compete with China. That's about the extent of their anti-capitalism. So, there is nothing to worry about. Nothing bad is really going to happen. That's why I call it doom porn. It's a fantasy. It'd be nice to think that the world was going to end and all the people would get what they deserve, but it's probably not going to turn out that way. The likelihood of a global collapse in the economy and this political upheaval of world communism is about as likely as the rapture. So, I wouldn't worry about all of that crap if I was you. It's just, they play on your fears. They want you to buy gold, and they want you to, listen to their TV programs, and, I knew I was going to go somewhere else with this, but it left my mind. You get the picture. Glenn Beck is talking out of his ass. And they're all talking out of their ass. It doesn't matter who. Rush Limbaugh, Sean Hannity, whatever. But it seems Glenn Beck likes to blame the communists most of all. So, there you go.